Chapter 193 Division between enemy and friends. Old Fang's treasured boots? How did you acquire them? What is your relationship? As far as I know, that guy truly treasures his cloud step boots. He absolutely wouldn't lend them to others. Following these few words, a gaudily dressed person came out from an unknown place and dropped down from a huge flowered tree more than 60 meters away from Han Li. He had a medium stature, eyes of different size, and a black pocked face. He appeared to be about 40 years old and had 7 to 8 different pockets of various sizes. However, his unbearably ugly face was shocking. His 2 eyes were rigidly staring at Han Li's spiritual boots. It seemed he did not dare believe that Han Li was wearing the cloud step boots. Who is your esteemed self? Why have you attacked me? Han Li did not reply to his question and instead bluntly asked this question. He truly didn't wish to be led by the nose and be suppressed by the other's presence. When the ugly man heard this, he was surprised but immediately grew angry, his ugly face turning vicious. He raised his hand, wanting to immediately teach this brat before him a lesson in appreciating the kindness of others. However, he soon thought of something and immediately restrained his wrath with great effort, lowering his hand. He still very fiercely said, "Boy, don't believe that just because you wear Old Fang's spiritual boots, I won't dare to teach you a lesson. When that old fellow Feng Yue gave you those spiritual boots, did he not mention the name of Spirit Beast Mountain's Zhang Wu? Regardless, I am quite baffled. You are obviously someone from Yellow Maple Valley. How could he give those boots to you? Could it be that you are Old Fang's illegitimate child? No, you don't look quite like him." As the ugly man said this, he was sizing up Han Li with a peculiar gaze. This time, it was Han Li's turn to be angry. He snorted with an unsightly expression and coldly said, "Will your esteemed self refrain from wantonly making casual contact with others? That guy Feng Yue has already long been dead. These boots were peeled off his corpse." Dead? That madman Feng Yue? The ugly man's originally overbearing closeness, after hearing Han Li's words, jumped 3 feet into the air and became unceasing bewilderment. Soon after, he couldn't help but fall back several steps, once again measuring up Han Li. "You killed him?" The fiendish man let out a deep breath as his eyes spun, asking with a harsh voice. He ceased becoming cruel and vicious. "That's right. Do you want to avenge him?" Han Li moved his hands behind his back. Motionless, he silently looked at his opponent. From within the storage pouch, he secretly took out the thread and quietly wound it around his ring finger. The reason why Han Li was so calm facing this person and admitted that he had killed Feng Yue was actually mostly to give him established power. He hoped this person would back out without a fight and no longer bother him. He did not wish to immediately engage in a battle where neither would win and waste his much important time for medicine gathering. Although he heard from this person's tone that it was as if he had friendly relations with Feng Yue, Han Li believed that the possibility of him truly taking revenge on behalf of Feng Yue wasn't too large. After all, they were cultivators. The majority of them were those with few and fickle desires. Even more, this person was a villainous man. Naturally, if the opponent insisted on taking revenge on behalf of Feng Yue, Han Li could only strike first to take the advantage. He would consume much of his physical strength to fully use his movement techniques and catch the opponent off guard, using the thread wound around his finger to quietly wrap around his neck and stealthily finish him off. However, Han Li fully understood that the odds of success for this sort of surprise attack was not too high. The odds of success were only 30 to 40%. Because the distance between him and this ugly man was too far, although Han Li could rush through the 60-meter gap with his movement technique, there was no guarantee of a one-strike kill. In addition, if the opponent felt like using a defensive magic technique, his thread would become useless. Revenge? What kind of joke is that? Do I look like someone that bored? As expected, it was as Han Li had thought. After the ugly man heard Han Li's words, he chuckled and said those words with disdain. Previously I truly had a friendship with that man, however, it wasn't some deep friendship. Since this person is already dead, there is naturally no longer a friendship. The ugly man shamelessly said. Although his words clearly revealed his position, he wasn't embarrassed in the slightest. Han Li remained silent. Although he did not relax his guard, he slightly relaxed his heart. It seemed he would need to fight a heavy battle immediately after entering the central area. But young brother, you are truly formidable and fierce. You were actually able to deal with that guy Feng Yue, especially with his top-grade magic tools, Zeze. Some of those magic tools are truly hard to come by. The ugly man stroked his nose and became far more affectionate toward Han Li, changing the way he addressed him. However, after he asked this, it seemed as if he indistinctly fell back several steps, greatly increasing the distance between them. Having seen this scene, Han Li couldn't help but bitterly smile to himself. According to Han Li's estimations, if they were to immediately have a falling out and fight, the odds of success just declined, making success unlikely. If this expert was as cunning and experienced as Han Li expected, he wouldn't be easy to deal with. Furthermore, he guessed that the opponent most likely believed that he obtained all of Feng Yue's magic treasures. As a result, he faintly showed off the appearance of being afraid of retaliation. After he became aware of this, Han Li smiled but did not speak. Since he didn't say whether he obtained the magic tools, he didn't need to say it, causing this evil man further annoyance and a greater fear of retaliation. That masterpiece on the wall in front of the gate, is that your esteemed self's doing? Han Li faintly asked, thinking of the scene in front of the gate. Nonsense. That was the work of that demon from the saber transformation dock, Han Tianya. I definitely wouldn't have done such a pointless thing. It was a great pity of such blood and flesh that was wasted. It would have been better if I fed it to my little ones. I heard the flesh of cultivators are a great supplement for them. As Han Li listened, he couldn't help but faintly smile. However, when the ugly man said those words, he took out a large pouch from behind his back and threw out a bloody chunk of flesh, causing Han Li's smile to become forced. There were even faint signs of his expression breaking. The evil man peeked at Han Li's current expression and couldn't help but secretly reveal his intentions. In the end, this Yellow Maple Valley disciple was far too young and far too soft. With just a few of his words, he caused his mind to become restless. If a true battle broke out, this definitely would have been a significant mistake. However, for this person to be able to kill that Feng Yue, he could truly be cause for surprise. But how could he see or think that such an extremely common appearance could truly be such a ferocious character? It could be said that with this guy's young age and meager magic power, even if he had several good magic tools, he wouldn't be able to beat Feng Yue's yellow parasol and his great quantity of top-quality magic tools equivalent to the Cloud Step boots. Still, that guy Feng Yue nonetheless fell underneath this boy's hand. This matter was truly a bit strange, but he did wear the Cloud Step boots, this was undeniable. Could it be he really didn't kill him but was able to acquire them from some other fortunate occurrence? Zhang Wu pondered about this, but he was still confused. He was unable to accurately judge Han Li's true strength. This caused him to take the initiative to test this with his own hands. If he tried to kill him but couldn't, naturally such a clever man as himself wouldn't take such a dangerous action. After the ugly man remained puzzled and gave much deliberation, he took out his cloth pouch and blinked his uneven eyes several times. With a face full of smiles, he said to Han Li, "Oh wait, I still haven't asked. What is young brother's surname? Do you think you could tell me?" Yellow Maple Valley's Han Li. This wasn't something worth concealing. Han Li calmly replied with an improved complexion. So it turned out to be Brother Han. I previously hadn't heard of young brother's great name. Surely, your distinguished self is one of Yellow Maple Valley's new and rising stars? How much does Brother Han understand about the central area? Zhang Wu appeared very cordial as if he were speaking to a friend he hadn't seen for many years. I don't know much, but Brother Zhang is many years my senior. He surely must know much more than Han Li. Han Li did not know what the other party was planning, but he grew greatly vigilant. Brother Han, if you were to trust this one named Zhang, wouldn't it be better for us to exchange our information on the central area? How about it? This is something that would benefit the both of us. After Zhang Wu hesitated for a moment, he eventually spoke his true intentions with a soft voice. After Han Li heard this, he was startled and inwardly contemplated this. Although it was strictly stated in the rules that exchanging his sex information without the approval of sect elders was not allowed, in reality, it was an act that disciples did much of. Thus, after a short moment, he wore a smile and said, "Sure. After we exchange resources, we will each greatly benefit." Haha. That's great. I knew it, Brother Han isn't some overly careful person. Come. We'll put our information into jade slips and then exchange them with each other. Zhang Wu's face full of pockmarks of all sizes was glowing with excitement as he continuously rubbed his hands. It seemed he was greatly expectant of Han Li's information. When Han Li saw this, he greatly sneered several times. However, his external appearance was naturally in complete agreement. To create a copy of information was a very effortless task. After the time it took to make a cup of tea, they finished making their copies and threw the jade slips to each other. When they each had the jade slips in hand, they both roughly examined the contents. After they confirmed it seemed to be information of the central area, they both looked at each other with a smile containing an ulterior motive. Within this small amount of time, it was naturally impossible to forge false information. However, when the copies were made, some crucial information would be overlooked. This was naturally mutually understood. After this event, Zhang Wu and Han Li seemed to all of a sudden become much closer. Zhang Wu actually told Han Li a few remarkable stories from the world of cultivators. Seeing these two laugh and talk so closely, it was truly hard to believe that not long ago they had been nearly irreconcilable adversaries. It seemed these two were experts in knowing when to retreat. Although Han Li wore a beautiful smile and appeared as if he was interested in this chat, he was truly cursing endlessly in his heart. If you want to chat, then chat. Why would you continue to maintain such a long distance? So long as he advanced a step, the other party would take 2 steps back with a hearty smile. Although Han Li had no intention to kill him, the other party's degree of cautiousness caused Han Li to be dumbfounded.